Oh, hi, I'm Shane, and this is Chasing the Storm. This is the third installment of my zombie pandemic series, The Storm. It is also something I'm very proud of. A lot of hard work went into this, and I'm excited to put it out into the world. I'm excited for you to check it out. So, today, what I'm going to do is a short reading from one of the chapters. It has been cleaned up a little bit because my grandmother is watching, and I don't want to get into trouble. So, I hope you enjoy. I hope you're well. Chapter 5. Ray tilted the last of the pale amber liquid past his lips. He held the glass out to consider it as warmth spread across his face. When he set it down, melting spheres of ice clinked together. Been a long day, Cal. Can't think of a better way to end it. Across from Ray, Callan sat rigid in his chair with his hands hanging over the plush armrests. The soft yellow glow from the small lamps spread across the room, casting shadows over his stern face. He stared out the floor-to-ceiling windows at the erratic choreography of falling snow. Ray reached up to take out a skin-toned earpiece and let the thin wire hang down the front of his shirt. A leather bracelet sewn with colorful beads in an intricate pattern slid down his wrist when he took the stopper from a hand-blown liquor bottle on the narrow table beside him. You sure you don't want any? Callan pushed out his lower lip and shook his head. Ray guided his hand to the bottle and poured himself a generous glass. He replaced the stopper on the second try, then leaned back in the chair with his glass held up. His smile came slow and demure. Hope you don't mind if I partake. Kind of you to ask, but you're good. Ray ran a hand over his hair, straight and black, with strands of wiry silver along the sides. You know, I don't think I've ever seen you drink before. Callan did not break his attention from the windows. Haven't touched the stuff in a couple years. Doesn't do anything for me anymore. Fair enough. Ray sipped at the glass. I got rid of it all when my daughter was born. But then, I'm not at home, and if a drink or two helps me sleep through the night, so be it. Callan had no response he cared to share. Ray took another drink. First of the guests still in around noon? As far as I've heard. Are we getting another delivery tomorrow? No. The last arrived this afternoon. They stacked 'em deep, all prepped and ready to go. Good. Don't want to have to deal with that bullshit right before we open the doors. Callan nodded. Ray sighed and rubbed at his temples. How long you been here now? Little over a year, I think. Sounds about right. Guess you were here pretty much from the start. Close enough, too? Do you, I don't know, enjoy this? Callan drew in a deep breath and turned to Ray for the first time. Not the way I'd put it. It's a job. Then why do you stay? I know the money is good. It's the rest of it that I'm not sure of. Callan's focus faded. Everyone gets to decide what lines they cross and what ones they don't. Ray lowered his eyes and pursed his lips. He let the long list of regrets and not leaving when he had the chance take space for only a moment. After giving the drink in his hand a thoughtful glance, he set it down. This is true. He gripped the arms of the chair to push himself up, but he stopped mid-movement as a dull noise reverberated through the room. Ray and Callan locked eyes. The hell? Another thud shook the walls, and the lights went out. Callan jumped from his chair and sprinted for the stairs before Ray could finish his question. Dropping to the first step, he popped the snap on his holster and drew a gun from his side. Callan descended 2 or 3 steps at a time, then slammed into the door at the bottom. He swore to himself. No electricity meant the sensors were no longer working. Staggering back, he fished a heavy key from his pocket, unlocked the door, and pushed through. Callan pumped his legs, pushing along a wide corridor as worried glances from staff setting up the dining area on the main level flashed past. Halfway down, he stopped at an exterior door, slipped in his key, and burst outside. Cold air stole his breath as he ran through ankle-deep snow toward the back of the building. Uncountable stars in the waning gibbous moon gave enough light to guide his path, though he was not focusing on the ground in front of him. To the north, a flurry of headlights bounced as snowmobile engines undulated and screamed their retreat. At the tree line, a low building with a string of small garage doors cracked open in a flash of orange. The roof at one end bulged, then collapsed. With the explosion ringing in his ears, Callan ran on. Stopping well out from the rear of the main building, he saw the once tidy box that encased the mechanical area now laid broken and twisted. Smoke billowed as the fire grew, and pockets of steam sprung from the ground as chunks of red-hot metal melted the snow. He traced the trail of jagged debris until his eyes locked onto the corner of a chain-link enclosure set back from the building. The outermost post bent to the point of cracking, and pieces of charred equipment laid close by. Chunks of the mechanical cage had blasted through the fence like knife blades, leaving sections of chain link coiling in on themselves. Callan stared past the void into the darkness. He held his breath so it would not obscure his vision, and waited. Sensing the first hint of motion in the flickering firelight, he spun away. He raced along his own tracks, retreating to the open door as links of metal fencing clinked together behind him. Callan fought against the ache in his legs until he reached the entrance, pulling the door shut. He collapsed against the wall and closed his eyes as flashes of pressure pounded at his temples. When the pain eased, he righted himself, sat with his forearms balanced on his knees, and hung his head low. Cal? Callan coughed and looked up, still straining for air. Ray stood with one arm loose at his side. The other held his phone's flashlight pointed at the ground. What's going on? Callan cleared his throat, then coughed again. They blew the solar generators. The second pen's been breached. Breach? What do you mean? I mean, there's a big hole in the fence, Ray. Ray's eyes widened. But, yeah. Ray covered his gaping mouth. Callan looked to the floor. Time to call the boss. Ray faced the empty corridor. When does the security transport arrive? We're not going hunting, Ray. Besides, they don't land until tomorrow morning with the rest of the staff. Callan sighed and stood on sore legs. They won't get far. We'll contain it. Call Kennington. Ray let the words sink in, then stomped down the corridor with a bow-legged gait. Damn it! He paused at the door to the lobby, then looked back with a red face and shouted, I'm too old for this shit, Cal. The door slammed shut behind him. Callan lowered his head and ran a hand over his face. Me too, Ray. Thank you for listening. Once again, Chasing the Storm is available now. You can go to ShaneCroach.com for details on where to find it and for information on the previous books. I hope you enjoyed. Take care.